In this episode of the Exploring Information Security Podcast, what's happening at ShowMeCon 2024?
Computers now have primary control of critical functions.
Houston, recommend vector transfer.
Your go for APU shutdown on time.
Roger, go for deploy.
Nice to be in orbit.
Welcome to the Exploring Information Security Podcast, where you'll learn, explore, and grow your security mindset. I am your host, Timothy D. Block, and in this episode, we come live to you from the floor at ShowMeCon 2024 with Joey Smith of Schnooks, Tim McLaren of GuidePoint Security, and Ben Miller, the mayor of ShowMeCon. I don't know if he's really the mayor, but I'm calling him that. He can be the unofficial mayor. He's got a black badge, so he gets to show up. He knows everyone. That's why I like calling him the mayor. Show notes can be found at exploresec.com/EAS. You can support the podcast by donating. You can also sign up for the newsletter. Feedback for the show is at timothy.dblock@exploresec.com. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. Make sure if you hit me up on LinkedIn that you let me know that you're a listener. And you can also rate the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. That really helps promote this show. So as I mentioned, this is a live one from ShowMeCon. I got some more episodes from ShowMeCon. There's also one already released on mental health where me and Amanda Berlin we're laying in air loungers having a podcast episode, which was really great. But this is one of my other recordings where we just set up some equipment while we were, hanging out at ShowMeCon and just kind of talked about whatever. So this was a really great episode. ShowMeCon, looking forward to next year already. But another one that I'm really excited about that I'm still kind of piecing together is I took my microphone around a security conference and shoved it in people's faces. What could go wrong there? Just to kind of highlight and show HallwayCon for people. So there's some interesting stuff there. That'll be in a bit more bits. It's something I'm trying out there. But this is definitely a little bit more. We sit down with microphones and kind of just start talking about different things going on within the industry. But we kind of focus on some of the vendor stuff going on, which is an interesting take. And you get kind of CISO's perspective, and then Ben and I's perspective, and then you have the vendor's perspective at the same time. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it.
It's like live from the floor at ShowMeCon 2024. We've stumbled across Joey, who just got done speaking, and Tim McLaren from GuidePoint. How are you, gentlemen? Oh, we are great.
Superb. Let me move this more into the middle so it actually captures you. You do a pretty good job of it, but yeah. And thank you for that intro. We're already going. Yeah, we're going. That's the intro I'm using.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's a great, fantastic intro. So we'll just kind of go from there. I like turning on the microphone. You know this. I just turn on the microphone. Let's go.
And see.
Let's just talk.
All right.
Let's just have a conversation. Because what I've done in the past is I'll be like, all right, we're going to do it now. And then people go, and then I'm like struggling to get them to open up. Whereas we had like a great conversation.
We've already hit play. We already hit record. So
It's actually something, I think the Nerdist podcast, if you ever listened to that.
No.
He would just have he has all these big celebrities on it and just starts recording.
Yeah.
And they just start having
I've
conversations.
noticed that with on Joe Rogan's where the podcast starts in their mid-sentence because he's like, I forgot to go.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Joe Rogan, but that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I don't need it to be super strict.
Yeah.
I've had it strict before, and like I said, sometimes people are great and will come on and start talking about, but I've had all these great conversations outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
We just have it. And that's actually what I did was walk around this morning with this microphone, right? And then shoved in people.
Man on the street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Billy on the street.
Have you seen that bit? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel who went out there, man on the street, was asking people their passwords.
Yes.
It's a great education
That is
video.
such a great skit. That's great for security awareness, too. I show that all the time.
It's like, what's your, oh, hey, Ben.
Ben Miller has joined us. For those that haven't listened to the HallwayCon podcast.
It's like he's always there.
Oh, well, see, yeah, someone was like, talking about, I was like, the mayor of ShowMeCon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on.
You've
been
given
really look
time.
like I'm trying to get elected, or
Well, you are wearing your VIP badge with pride, and
Well, this
that's
was
pretty
a
cool.
gift to me, and it's this means a lot to me because it was given to me in recognition of efforts that
You do a great job.
I did because they were the right thing, not because not because I cared about the recognition. So.
You want to pull up a chair and get in?
I mean, sure.
Come on in.
Just steal Kevin's chair.
You have to find a chair.
I stole the other one, so he's going to come back and go, where'd my chairs go?
So Joey said we're going to maybe piggyback a little bit off of what he spoke to this morning, just on on just relationships, trust,
Tim said he appreciated my bullet point of treat your vendors with respect and professionalism.
We have customers that treat us in all sorts of ways.
I'm very aware. I was at Guy Point for 10 months, as a matter of fact. So I'm very aware.
Not even just here, but when I was at Checkpoint, wherever, it's just there are customers that treat you like dirt, and there's customers that really appreciate what you do. So
absolutely, I took a bunch of notes for this, and it's in the speaker room. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to wing it based on your
similar
talk.
to my talk where I didn't have my speaker notes because it wasn't like an extended desktop or something. And I was like, well, I put all those speaker notes in yesterday just in my own dry rehearsal.
Right.
It helped me go from one point to the next without fumbling around too much. And then I get up there and that isn't going to be the case. And you go, well,
We're gonna do it.
That's okay. Let's go anyways. We'll figure it out.
Let's do it in prod.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the vendors so what's your experience been so far?
With GuidePoint in general, or
Well, I guess GuidePoint. You said you're at Checkpoint too,
I was
right?
at Checkpoint so really a vendor, and then obviously now more of a traditional reseller and consultant. That switch over to this, and I did it before. I was at a smaller bar before GuidePoint or before Checkpoint.
Yeah.
And that took me 2 seconds. The GuidePoint Checkpoint thing. Switching from a vendor and that kind of narrow. In fact, Brett and I were just talking about this, staying in that kind of narrow lane of specialty versus now where we can kind of do it all. But
it's been interesting to shift from because GuidePoint's more of they have a bunch of different services versus Checkpoint's one type.
Yeah, and and that's a big piece of it is having the consultancy side of it, and how we even do ransomware negotiation, we do all of that stuff, and then obviously we're a traditional VAR too, so we can we're a reseller for most of the security platforms in this room. So
I'll tell you, Tim, working with Tim McLaren, which I have for over 10 years at this point, you'll find nobody in this industry that's more passionate about what he's selling than Tim. And my favorite Tim story, which we might as well capture for all time on this recording, is whenever we made a decision to go with Checkpoint years ago, we brought Tim, and your counterpart was Lon at that time.
Yep.
And we met somewhere 4 o'clock, let's meet at this bar. And Tim was still on trying to close the deal.
this is
all I wanted
one of
to
my
do,
favorite stories.
all I wanted to do was say, I want to buy a shot to congratulate you because you won the business. But he wouldn't let me because he just kept he kept pitching. It's good, you're done. We've reached our decision.
Shut up, Tim.
But when you close the deal, you need to stop selling.
Don't keep talking.
Some people are just too passionate to shut up.
You could have talked yourself out of it.
No idea what that's like.
Well, actually, it was that same conversation. It was one of and this gets back to the trust piece. It was his question to me was, my last question, Tim, if we buy your product, can you guarantee that we're not going to be breached again? And of course I said, yeah. No, I'm kidding. I said, no. I said, absolutely not. No, we cannot. I cannot guarantee. And he's like, okay, all right. So
I was like, that's the answer.
That's the
right answer.
That's right. But it gets back to the trust you've got to have between yourself and
well, that's something from the vendor side too. It's you just got to be honest with people because people can smell some of that bullshit.
People buy from people.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to go into. Is you're talking about trust, and trust is between two people. I don't trust a business or a line of code or a network connection, really, especially not a DNS name. I don't trust DHCP laces. I trust people. The tech is just a way to communicate and connect to people, but you're still ultimately trusting the people that built the code, or the people that wrote the code, or people that created the connection, or put the DNS record in wrong, or whatever. It's always DNS. I've been doing that.
Well, it's actually an interesting segue. Just the two, the technical side of not trusting anything, but the people side of you've got to have that trust.
Yes.
You've got to build it.
When you've got to stand behind, because you're not developing the product, you got to be the person on the front. And
Like you being like I've been with vendors that are just like they're just going to sell you whatever. They're not going to say no.
Right.
And then there's others that will tell you, well, there's a little bit of fault here. There's that kind of stuff, which to me speaks more, and I trust that person a lot more, right?
Well, and it's
And I know for you, it's like a balance, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, GuidePoint was kind of founded on the whole idea of trust. I mean, they wanted to build it to where we had leadership closer to the field, that we had leadership closer to our customers,
right?
And that we're trying to find the very, very best people, and that's why you look around, you'll see a lot of familiar faces here because they've got experience in this industry. They're people that you trusted probably before somewhere else. We're trying to find the best people that we can, both on the consulting side of it, the engineering side of it, and of course on the sales side of it.
Yeah, I love what the CEO says is we're going to do what's right by the customer. We're not just here to sell them something. And to me, that speaks volume. And JC had the mission statement before. To me, that's a mission statement in itself,
yeah, you're right?
And I think that's fantastic because then your people and the CEO saying that is going to make everyone belong. Go, okay, I'm going to do what's right. I don't have to fluff them. I don't have to say yes to everything.
Easy alignment.
Yeah.
And make the secure, the trusted way, the easy way,
right?
So much better.
Yeah.
Better outcomes for everybody.
And I believe and this is Mike Volk you're talking about that started GuidePoint. That's what he wanted. He wanted this. He had this vision of it, and it's crazy to look at. I mean, I started when I was working in a vendor. I worked with GuidePoint 10 years ago, and they were less than 100 employees. And,
right.
We just broke 1,000 employees here in the last 30 days. So I mean, the growth.
Yeah. Oh, they're a rocket ship, man.
So,
they've been growing up like crazy.
Nice and that's half of that. I don't know the numbers today, but half of that is engineering and consultants and everything else. So I mean, we're very heavy on trying to find the right expertise so that we can, guide customers in the right path.
That's another statistic they have is they have like 50% engineers, which is unheard of for like a VAR and other thing that you're talking about, like kind of essentially vendor wrangling. Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's it's why we've kind of grown so fast is because we started by attracting good people, which then guess what? That makes other people want to come along. Right? Yeah. And so you kind of build on it from there.
Yeah,
I've got more than a few old coworkers that were like, we worked on this company and this project. It was great and all, but now the GuidePoint, so much. It's like, yes, that's what I want to hear. Other hackers doing well.
Here'd be my perspective of like your transition from. I know Checkpoint wasn't a point solution, but like obviously Checkpoint to like the VAR world is. Do you find it? Where you always had to find the solution and then prove out that Checkpoint was said solution versus now on the VAR side, you can be like, I got an entire encyclopedia of solutions that we can go and explore together to figure out what works out best for you.
Yeah,
and I think that'd be a nice advantage.
It's really cool to kind of understand, and you really kind of start to see where the industry's going. Identity and access, is really hot right now, right?
Huge,
so that's probably one of the number one topics we're having right now. Checkpoint, did a little bit of that, but we, I had to stay in my lane and know that I wanted to be able to deliver what we sold, so we had to have something. But being here, you can go to a customer and really honestly look at them in the face and believe that you've got a solution that is going to solve their challenge.
Well, that's what I was talking the other day with some other people about, is that there's so many vendors now. 10 years ago, there weren't that many vendors.
It is.
There's so many vendors now, so you almost need like a VAR that's going to be able to, and that's where you have to build that trust, is give me the 3 top solutions, right?
Well, we've got over 400 that we are authorized resellers for. So you gotta like, there's no way for a customer to really, it's difficult for us to understand, what all 400 of those do. And we do, but it takes, it's a lot. So helping a customer make that, and especially with a lot of the, up and coming vendors, a lot of the emerging tech vendors. Really understanding their strengths and weaknesses is kind of our core.
You're not going by. The CEO saw this this thing in the airport. That's what we're going to buy because the billboard was cool. Like,
Silence.
No, we're actually, I didn't see it.
I was thinking Barracuda.
I wasn't.
Barracuda. Hey, I will tell you, I love Barracuda's email filter because this is very early on. This is back 2008. They had a really good Barracuda, but their load balancer, not that great, right?
And what's funny is the tech people, we all know those stories, right? It's like, I had to work with this tech because my boss bought it, and then I had to make it work, and maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. Yeah. And we had those conversations, and what cracks me up and I love about GuidePoint is that's who works there, is all the people who went through all of those, we'll say, differently motivated business decisions, and kind of pick and choose and know the where the skeletons are or what's really good at what, and so you have that bench of experts. I'm the one on the comms that doesn't have any buying power, by the way. My testimony here is not an endorsement or
You're wearing a VIP badge, man. I totally expected you.
The VIP badge is in the whole just, and you can print these yourself. If you have the right, you can take a picture and 3D print. The art guys will totally help you make your own. I recommend just for us.
So you have a black mark.
So
I'll tell you this, Ben. This is a misconception amongst people that aren't CISOs. You said you don't have any buying power.
No, I have
Here's the reality: is no CISO is going to buy in a silo, right? Yes, like you manage a budget, you're allowed to spend X amount of dollars, and you shouldn't go over. And you try to, and if you're under, that's actually great because you want to give that money back to the business. But there's no way that the CISO is going to buy something just because that relationship's between him or her and said solution.
Yes.
At every single case we bought anything, it's because the team has brought it up to my desk. Now, there's a lot of times where I'll go out and I'll meet people and I'm like, guys, I thought this was really cool. Take a look and tell me why I'm wrong. And a lot of times they're like, yeah, this is actually a total piece of trash. You were just happy because, you got a beer or something.
It sounded well. People can make stuff sound really good too.
Yeah, and then you're like,
great.
wow. Yeah, initial pitches I usually almost always fall for. I'm like, absolutely.
I do the same.
I actually didn't even know we had that problem.
But that's where you need to have that attitude of let's see it in action, right?
You made me do way more than one dance before you. I'm not buying it.
I agree. No, definitely, and I like the fact that it speaks to good leadership. Are those leaders who seek out their team's opinion and say, hey, I've heard X, what have you heard?
Right.
Yeah.
Or I saw it do this, what have you seen it do? And balancing that out, because some of the people that aren't in the CISO seat are because they don't want to be there, and some of the people are there because they like exactly where they're at and they want to be that voice of recommendation rather than the one that has to be responsible for the call.
We talk about ownership a lot too, and if the team who's going to be behind the keyboard running the day-to-day feels like they made that decision, then they're going to be that much more owners of the product and making sure it works, making sure it's deployed correctly than I would be, versus the CISO comes in and says, hey, today we're going to go buy XYZ product. Now go figure it out, Ben. You're going to be like, didn't want this in the first place. I didn't make this decision. Hey boss, I'll do my best, but it's a whole different
different way to expectations level of effort. Yes, I'll do that.
Right. Versus I have vested interest in making this work for this organization. Let's make it work for this organization.
I think from our standpoint, we've probably seen it happen both ways. Where the CISO has said this is what we're going to do, and other cases where it's engaging that team that's going to have to do this and going to have to manage these on a day-to-day basis and deploy this product. So
I'm literally giving stage direction of the microphone's close to me.
Not so
I'm a tweaker, so I'm no. Actually, you're on the opposite end of it, right? So I actually do need it closer to you because these are pointed. These are essentially pointed this way and that way.
Yeah.
So if anything, you should around and get
it's
nice and comfy next to
nothing
this.
you've said so far.
This wouldn't be a bad thing.
These look like fantastic mics, so I think we're probably
It's bouncing off the wall. Yeah. No, I'm constantly looking at levels. So one of the things about podcasts, I prefer quality, right?
Yes.
I want quality stuff. So I'm trying to make sure that we're not getting too loud. That's what I'm just tweaking with it. That's
if you've never gotten to watch Tim create his podcast, I highly recommend it. Come to an actual conference, see him do this, and see him play with this technology and really enjoy it to create this masterful product for you.
even with other people around.
Even with other people around, walking in and out.
It's working good.
Well, I will tell you, with sound, you want it in a very enclosed, quiet space because there's conversation, and I have no idea how that's going to show up in the podcast.
We're in a giant hallway with multiple sidebar conversations all around us right now.
Yeah.
Each of us is waving at people.
I'm hoping the mic should pick up a majority of it. You just never know. So there's always that little bit of anxiety. Wait until those doors open. Hopefully
Somebody
we're done
walks by and now realize that we're on the mic right now.
That's fine to me. I like a little bit of chaos. That's why I just started recording and Joey did the intro. So.
I did a great intro.
You did a fantastic intro.
I was pretending to be Tim, and
So we were talking about relationship stuff. What have you guys seen that just is like the worst stories you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I
I'm
could
like,
name names. But
Okay, so yeah,
like where it's just
so we're doing a whole session tomorrow where I'm going to MC the session, which is great because it's like very low preparation for me. But I've asked some of my closest CISO friends to come join us. So Matt Monica from BJC and Brett Perry from Dot Foods, Andrew Wilder and Gary Harbison, and Gary's at Johnson & Johnson. So the idea was, and this was, as I was trying to come up with topics for my own keynote that I got done doing a bit earlier, was exactly that. What works and what doesn't? Because I think there's value in the vendor community because it's easy for anybody, whether you're a security leader or not, the amount of emails you get. Like, do you even care about ransomware? Why aren't you responding to me? That's the stuff that doesn't work. But how do we build the relationship? So that one bullet point is ultimately kind of dovetailing into a whole larger session. And that bullet point, for those that are listening, was simply be nice to your vendors and treat them with respect, particularly here in St. Louis. It's a small town. We come back here next year, there's going to be a lot of us that are no longer on the vendor side and might be on the customer side. There's going to be customers that are on the vendor side, and everybody shifts 3 companies to the left every year, So, right. So there's something to be said for being like, it's okay, your product isn't right for me right now in my industry, etc., but I appreciate you letting me know and moving on. But I think the vendor world is so hungry, and perhaps this is driven by the amount of venture capital dollars that are getting thrown at some of these companies to go sell, where they're trying anything and everything to just get a slice of your attention.
Yes.
Like, I started collecting just out of my own interest, like a folder I have in my personal Google Drive called dumb vendor emails.
Can you release that? Can I put that on mine?
Yeah, I know.
Everybody doesn't have one of those? 'Cause, I've had that for years.
And actually, one of them actually, it's a screenshot of my wife put a post on Facebook, and she was cleaning out the closet, and we have a king-size bed, and across the entire king-size bed are vendor golf polos. And she goes, I literally could make a security vendor quilt out of my husband's golf polo. It's like, that kind of, because for me, I get a golf polo, it's always XXL, and it just hangs in my closet, right? So
yeah, but
I started just collecting those because they're funny.
XXL, right?
Probably the worst one, and this was a trend that I saw a couple years ago, and I haven't seen it anymore, so maybe they caught on that this wasn't working. It would be like, hey, Joey, I'm so-and-so with this great company that you totally need to have. You haven't responded to any of my last 8 emails, so please let me know which one of the below it is. A, you're not interested.
Yeah.
B, you're interested but maybe later and we'll talk then. Or C, a bookshelf has fallen on top of you. You can't get out from under it, and like there would always be some like harebrained scenario.
Yes.
Now, granted, I'm talking about it, so maybe it did work. Now, I don't remember who was doing the pitch though, so it really.
When did you even respond? That's what I want to know. Did you respond to that?
No.
It's being memorable and being worthwhile.
What's interesting is being here. I'm director of sales here, but in my 7 months here, I'm now getting approached by salespeople because they want access to our sales team. They want to sell us sales tools. They want to sell us leads so we can bug the hell out of customers like you.
The same situation.
They want to. But I have seen that very email where I have ignored it 5 times because it was a crappy email to begin with.
I'll pull it up.
And then they come back and it's like, hey, you haven't responded because now, again, I did see it.
Yep.
I still deleted it.
Yep.
But it's just I don't know. It didn't work for me. I doubt it works for you.
I get really excited to interrupt people, so I apologize.
No, you're good.
No, the ones that personally offended me are the ones that take advantage of people or attention or worry of being not nice. I have literally seen my current place of employment that I'm not going to name. And it's
figured out.
And yeah, people figured it out. It was literally the email, and it was the first email. And oh look, I used to set up email systems. I know how to go into all that and look at the headers. The first email, but the subject line was RE:. And they were trying to take advantage of.
Yeah.
They thought, or they wanted me to think.
They made it look like.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's really smart social engineering.
Wow.
It's really crappy salesmanship.
Yes.
Because I
It's
ultimately never going to trust somebody that did that.
I pulled it up.
I feel for some of these people because sometimes it's a volume thing. They've got to crank it out. And
You got a job
sometimes
to
it's
do.
and
I
it's
totally
just.
understand that.
But then
if
there's
you're going to make an assumption about me, or if you're going to try to take advantage of my very valuable attention and time, I only get a certain amount of heartbeats in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're going to take advantage of that fear of mine, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And so, I have the whole, dumb vendor emails, and then I have the evil vendor emails, and that one went
I'll go-
into the
yeah,
evil pile.
evil.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I will not do business with you.
I pulled up my dumb
read
email folder.
receipts
I'll ask. I'm going to hand this to Tim.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, don't mention who it's from or the company because that doesn't matter, right? I'm not trying to throw shade because I'm being.
I just, if it's a competitor of ours, I'll totally
Right.
name names.
At first glance, what is it that went wrong with this outreach here?
I think I got this one, by the way.
The fact that 4 people can sit around the table talking about sales emails and be like, I think I got that one. I think
Wait,
I got
did they
that. If you
overlook
think you're doing
the-
something new,
Look at-
unique,
yeah.
They overlooked that they were supposed to put in a
Insert
personalized all in bold.
They use
Yeah.
the template.
They still
It says, yeah,
They
that's
used
what
the
that's what
template,
arrived in my
forgot to
inbox.
Oh, I
change
love missed templates. Yeah, when you can
Missed
tell.
I'm like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
a good.
Or like there's the brackets for the name, what your name's supposed to be.
Yeah.
For those listening, it's,
Dear
it's just
customer.
an
Yeah.
email with
Yeah, so I have a handful of those.
Templatize the email with the personalization
And they forgot to-
pieces taken out.
they
and
overlooked.
that happens when you're trying to automate things.
Yeah.
Because you've got value. It's your value. Your time is valuable.
Yeah, it is.
But make sure you're doing it right.
But
And
but I mean, it's also to me, it's kind of
Those are
lazy, right?
rookies.
It's versus
is.
like coming out here and sponsoring an event, and Tim here sitting and talking to
Right.
people and getting to know people, and that's where you really, I don't know about you, but is that where you get your most value? You feel like you find your most
Oh,
value?
getting in front of, in front of you. That's why COVID was brutal for
Yeah.
anybody in our space. Is now that relationship is out. Nobody wants to sit on a Zoom all day long, and you're not really making a personal
Depends on how hot
connection
it is
through a Zoom.
outside.
That's true. But yeah, this is getting in front of people, and I mean this kind of thing is fantastic. So I'm
And
glad.
I think
ShowMeCon
GuidePoint does a
is
really
back.
good job with the events
Yeah.
too, where you guys have a
yeah.
bunch of different events where
We
you
love
invite,
events,
invite
it's-
people out, and they're unique experiences.
Yeah.
And to me,
Yes.
that is going to have more of an impact than just now. I know at GuidePoint they do have people that specifically just send out emails, so I know they still do.
Oh, yeah,
You didn't
we're-
say it. That's
we're
Tim
good.
DeBly, by the way, not Tim from GuidePoint.
Yeah, no, I mean we do. We're not trying to go after the masses, right?
Yeah.
So we are trying to find, we are trying to find customers that are a good fit for us and that are a good fit
Yes.
for them. But so we're not really, but you're going to
It's not
find the ones that are
egregious.
going after the masses.
And to me,
yeah.
it's not as egregious as something like that, where the
Yeah.
RE, I've seen that, or the long email thread, or the missed.
And even with our event, when we're doing events, we're doing pretty targeted call. I mean, we're either calling, most of the account managers are calling these people, their customers directly, their prospects directly, and saying, hey, come join us. And we're trying to make it valuable for everybody.
Well, and what I really like too is that I feel like there's a focus on the relationship for even the individual contributors, the people earlier in their career. So they're not, because some you talk to some vendors and they're like, they only care about the sysadmins, right? They only care about the executive level. But particularly in my experience, and this is as a client as well, they really have focused on getting to know me as an individual contributor or me as a manager. And part of that, I think, I think they're thinking about the long game, right?
Yes, thank you for that segue so I can talk about B-Sides. So B-Sides St. Louis was created with the intention of bringing the interested in security to the connected in security. GuidePoint's been a part of that since the beginning. And has been it's not just a get your future vendors, that's how you recruit and get your future engineers too.
Yeah.
And then you talk to the kids that, I saw you at B-Sides, you guys put on this CTF, did that cool event. Guess what? 5-10 years later, they do have budget. They are the ones sitting in the
Yeah, they are the one. Yeah,
and when they remember, I met you at B-Sides 20 years ago or whatever. Not 20 years ago yet, thankfully. 10 years ago. I still feel new bifocals.
I feel like the pandemic. It's like you actually have to double those years. So it's actually 8 years of the pandemic instead of 4 years.
But you get. It's not just marketing or sales to the person with the purse strings right now. It's the building the relationship with the people who are passionate, who are going to be in this for the long run, that are going to be doing these kind of things because they care about security, they care about society, they care about good ethical decisions, they care about the trust. And that piece is so important, not just at a conference like this, which is very business and happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you talk about a B-Sides or some other security events, they are much more focused on red team, blue team, dev team, whatever. And you want the vendors there that care about selling you something and getting in front of people that are making buying decisions. But I always try to, the other side of that is you want to be there as a VAR, as a vendor, to talk to the kids that are going to be your employees in 2 years when they graduate high school or college, to talk to the juniors now that are going to be the seniors later, to build that recommendation build for the CISO later. And so not just focusing on the CISO, focusing on the to be CISO
Yeah.
is critically important. So
those-
that's my plea for if anybody would like to sponsor B-Side.
Those-
B-Side's in your area.
So let's talk about. Are you guys still looking for sponsors?
B-Side St. Louis.
Dude, pitch whatever you guys want.
I do not have
When is
an
it?
official date yet,
Okay,
but it'll
okay.
be in the fall.
All right.
We'll be talking.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I already got your email. We're good.
Can you send
be-
me an unsolicited, unpersonalized email about it? And
I will chat GPT you up and create your sales.
Yes.
Joey.
And then I'm in.
Yes.
I'll spell Smith wrong. Yeah, that's
Schmitty.
But yeah, no, B-Sides to me has always been that stepping ground. And that's where you don't know what you want to know, you don't know what you don't know, you barely know anything. Come to a B-Sides and you may not leave with any idea of what you really want, but at least you have a lot more options to think about.
Yeah.
And something like that, that's what grows people into the audience for a ShowMeCon, for a DEF CON, even for, God forbid, an RSA. They might have to go there. Not a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, B-Sides is a great place. If anybody listening to this, if you've got the sponsorship dollars, that's probably your best local place to spend it, in my opinion. Definitely here in St. Louis. And then the other conferences have their place for that different audience. And
Sure.
a company like GuidePoint knows that
Yep.
and capitalizes on
Yep.
it. They go to all of them that are worthwhile for them.
Yep. Well, and back to your, it's getting to those right, and the right people is
Right
not
people,
always
right
the
place, right
CISOs. You know, it is. If I looked at some of our largest customers just here in St. Louis, our day-to-day, month-to-month, week-to-week relationships are not necessarily with the CISO. We are managing those relationships with all sorts of levels within the organization, and talking to the CISO, in QBRs or talking big picture. But those influencers are the ones that are making the decisions, and I mean, Joey's just like that. Joey's always trusted his teams to make those decisions, yet he's involved in it. I mean, he's in. So it's a perfect example where it's you go just after the CISO, you're going to miss the mark. And oftentimes do more harm than good.
I'll say too. Sometimes the CISOs can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Joey doesn't seem like one of them, but
no.
I'm sure you could ask some people that are here that have seen me on some of my worst days. But
Might have been brought up at lunch.
oh, man. Yeah.
There's some mutually assured destruction stories that run around a conference like this.
Depends on my mood elevator.
That was back before he bumped into me, and he was like, "Man, that Tim McLaren guy. I hope I don't run into him." And then he said, "Yeah."
Doubt anybody's.
Well, you guys got CISOs do have a lot on their plates too, and they're getting hit up by everybody, right? The minute you put some sort of executive or higher senior leadership title on your tag, you're getting hit. I know on LinkedIn for sure, right?
Yeah, LinkedIn can get busy with just random people that want to be my LinkedIn friend, and sadly, you know what? I wish if I could get better at one life skill, it would be remembering faces and names.
Yeah.
I'm just not good at it. I've never been good at it. I try to make some mental connection. Ben's got and then,
I did see you looking at my name
sometimes
tag
I'll scroll
earlier.
through and I'm like, I intended to be friends with that person. I absolutely want to be connected, and I feel terrible because it was 2 years ago when he asked or something, and so. But I mean, I don't. That's more of a me problem than just me being.
I think a lot of people.
Problem.
It is.
I think a lot of people
It's
have that
tough.
too.
Yeah.
If I remember my psychology correctly, a human brain can handle about 180 some odd connections at a time is the number, and it used to be the village used to be about that big, and that made sense for everybody. Yeah, digital world kind of changed all that.
Right.
Every one of us probably at this table has
Yeah.
1,000 some odd people on LinkedIn or more.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I don't know what the maximum is. I know some people here probably have it at the conference, but.
Is LinkedIn effective for you guys or completely ineffective?
Completely ineffective. I use that to share things that I care about to other people. What you want me to think? No, it's not. It's not a feed I can curate properly for myself.
So you're on it by necessity rather than
to share, not to receive.
Right.
I'd agree with that. It's like connections. I'm running ExploreSec.com, the podcast. So I'm marketing it there, but I try to also go on there and reshare stuff for like job postings or people looking
But
for
again,
a job or
you're
things.
sharing, not you're looking for things.
Learning.
To learn.
You're not-
I don't ever look on. There's so much stuff on there. Like there's just
it is.
and the algorithms. I just feel like I don't know if I just go on there too much, but I started getting content from like a week ago. I was like, I've never even seen this, but And I, it can be a bit hit or miss.
LinkedIn's listening right now. They're like,
oh yeah, for sure.
There's 4 listening devices in front of us. On the table.
Not including the microphone.
And so, you mentioned the algorithms. It's like, we as in human beings have opted some of our choices to the algorithm, and I think in some places that has been very, very good, because machine learning, computer learning, you can do a lot of cool things with big numbers that are just too big for human brains to deal with. That's the thing I learned most about data science that I love. But when you take the decision off of the human and you only trust the data or the algorithm to make the decision on what people see or what words to use, that gets pretty dangerous. And I had to go back to my 70s and 60s sci-fi dystopia stuff and be like, hey, we learned that lesson. Why are we doing what they said was going to be bad? Not that that's come up in movies yet again, over and over again. So there's a reason why those 60s and 70s dystopias kind of cycle every 23 years. It's like we're almost always about to destroy ourselves, and somebody pulls us back. Maybe it's an author somewhere. I like to think.
I would say I probably take, because I do reach out to people, especially for contacting to invite people onto the podcast. And that's what I tell people too, and I've actually started telling people on the podcast, if you want to connect with me, tell me you're a listener, because I do get, even with the podcast, it's starting to grow a little bit more. And it's like sometimes I don't know, like they might have a mutual connection, but it might be 2 mutual connections that I have no idea about, because before I started accepting stuff.
It's too
big. So, and the more people you have, the more connections you're gonna have. So I've been trying to kind of refine the use of LinkedIn. So I guess I find a little bit of value out of it. But as far as looking for vendors and stuff, it's not really. I actually listen to podcasts to listen.
I didn't think you would use it to track us down. I mean, you probably have enough of us tracking you down. But it's it is a challenge. I always it is a necessary evil, and we use it a lot. But I don't know that it's the best. It's certainly not the best tool.
There's nothing else. Like Twitter is essentially dead. I was talking to I don't know if you guys know Tim Tomes at all, who's really big into the web application security space.
Tim's can we bring up this podcast?
Exactly. We're going to try to get onlytims.com, by the way.
Yes.
I heard that was already purchased.
It was. We're gonna see if we can buy it, or I'm gonna figure out something. Anyways. But he said he put out stuff on Twitter, and he's just not getting the responses he used to get. Johnny Christmas actually talked about that last night, where he used to go onto Twitter, ask a question, and that's where he could get some value. And I feel like sometimes LinkedIn can be the same way. If I've gone on, policy as code, I'm like, what does that mean? And I've had people send me stuff.
For the home audience, I threw up my mouth.
But I actually did have someone, but again, that's probably taken more than anything. So, but there's not really much else. Like, I feel like I have to be on LinkedIn because that's the only platform.
There's man. Maybe it's partly that they don't have any competition that hasn't driven them to be better. I mean, it is good for being the fact that it's there and it's owned by Microsoft. And
he tried to slide that in there.
Favorite company.
These platforms, the problem that I have with platforms like that is whatever you put on that platform is then that platform's content. And so that's why, ExploreStack.com, whatever.com is one of my favorites. John Scalzi, the author, he's like, I didn't want to use WordPress or whatever because I wanted to own my own content. I wanted to make sure I could make it work the way I wanted to. And once you start depending on a platform like that, part of the platform is their use of your use of it. And that gets a little scary when you start going down the value chain now. And so you want to have your own thing, but you also don't want to build your own LinkedIn because that's really expensive. But how do you build your own thing? Well, you have GuidePoint.com, and you have your own what you do own, and you build
GuidePointSecurity.com. That one's another one. So that's a.
All right, I always forget that. I'm so glad Tim's here to fix that.
It's a thing.
You build your own community, and you build your own community your own way. It was so nice. Twitter in 2011 to 2016 was beautiful.
Yeah, it was really
good. For InfoSec, it was the first place I went. I remember when Heartbleed came out, and I was watching Twitter, and I was like, this is going to be really bad. And I was ahead of the news because Twitter was so
you could keep up to it.
Because you could
That's really good.
It was a good community, and now Twitter was the place for it. And now it's all it's this Discord, it's this mess. it's this Slack channel, it's this. It's
everything is very splintered now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. But if you create lists on Twitter, and that's what I did.
Yep.
I did that back during that time you're talking about, particularly before Heartbleed.
Shell Shock.
Not Pet. Yeah, it was a big one that I created as just a security researcher list. Yeah. People are still posting stuff on there, but those lists are where I have to go to get them.
Yes.
Right. So
the place that I have been going for more info here lately, to your point, especially not about vendors, but about literally everything else. It's Archive, but it's AXRIV.org.
Okay.
Is especially because I've been having to learn Gen AI stuff.
We all have.
Yeah, huh? And the more I use it, the less I like it, but that's okay. It's the place where a lot of the scholarly papers are.
Yes, I know what you.
Technology. Make sure in the post. Can you make sure I use the right website? Got it down.
Hopefully.
We'll see. But anyway, somebody online should know it, and please just, I know correcting things online, the best way to get an answer online is to say it wrong. Like I said,
If you say it right, nobody will ever confirm, but if you say it,
if you say it wrong,
you will.
Right answer. But anyway, that is where there is that kind of collection of known good, hopefully verified, most of the time verified, known good or verified, correct, accurate, and timely is the acronym that I use because it's VCAT.
You said they have studies and stuff? Or?
Oh, yeah, they do peer reviewed.
But that's what I'm saying. Those studies take time. So.
Yes, and so you don't necessarily know the exact thing right when you need to.
Okay.
But if you're keeping up, like so much of us are, 2 weeks ago is soon enough for me to know about things. It doesn't work for 0 days. But it works for, this is how RAG works, or this is how different Gen AI models are better at this.
Well, and that's the thing people don't realize. AI's been around for years. Actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think it was Risky Business, and they were talking about the fact that we haven't seen this big, massive explosion of AI being in everything and that being the main pitch because it's already been there. It's machine learning for years.
Years and years.
So the vendors are like, we've already been talking about this. Yeah, we've been ahead of time. Yeah.
For all the kids at home, it's all if statements. It's nested if statements. We've been doing this since the 50s. It's nested if statements. We can just nest a whole lot more of them now.
Yeah.
It's all ones and zeros.
We're taken over by if statements.
Go listen to Wynn's talk. Digital is actually analog under the hood. Anyway. Just keep referencing things.
It's all ones and zeros at the end of the day, man.
No, but ones and zeros are actually analog signals within certain.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's all electricity and ones and zeros.
Electricity. That I'll give you.
Yeah.
It's an electromagnetic spectrum, just like the emotional spectrum.
Yeah.
Ben's going deep.
This is what I do. This is my Christmas. These conversations. I take time off.
That's why you're a VIP. This is a metal badge.
They did this all shot before. It still didn't work. But anyway.
So how did you feel your talk went? Did you get a lot of good feedback?
Yeah, I think it went well. It's one of those things like it's always good to be more prepared.
Yes, absolutely.
In my own fault, I had thought I had 45 minutes until this morning when I saw I had an hour. And then I didn't have my speaker notes printed, which I should have as a plan B, which means I rushed through probably more than I intended to. Yeah. So I probably did it, and I think it was like between 40 and 45 minutes, which was fine. People don't want to sit there longer than they have to, so I can.
And have Q&A. Did you have time for Q&A?
I did, but I didn't take questions, so maybe
I don't think keynotes take Q&A usually.
I don't know.
And again,
I don't know.
If you're the one on stage, you do
I guess I could have done. Well,
I'm
happy to take any questions you have now. But no, I
had it down.
I thought it went well. It's one of those things like if I feel like I knew the topic well enough to where I didn't really need the speaker notes. It's like what you're going to talk about, but I liked it. I think. I'm hopeful that there was some relevant content in there for some of the younger generations that, whether it's their first ShowMeCon or first opportunity. And the first two people that came up after I got off stage, they were from one of the local universities here in St. Louis, and he's like, "That was great. I learned," and that's my intent because I have been in that audience for the better part of 19 years of a career, and sitting in that chair all wide-eyed, taking notes, wanting to learn everything possible to someday be like that person. And then, as I was reflecting on that after Dave asked me to come do this again, I was like, that's the value I want to give is who's that person that was me 20 years ago when I first started, and what is it? I'm not going to be able to go up there and talk about computer forensics, because I could go as deep as Ben just went on computer forensics, at least when it comes to Windows XP, because that's whenever I got promoted out of that.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about Windows XP anymore, so I have no technical value.
Go to South Africa.
It's still there.
I'd be your guy.
Tons of XP,
If they need to drop me into South Africa to do some Windows XP computer forensics, I am your
Luckily,
guy.
there's some people in country.
Yeah. But
Just saying, it's still around.
But that was my motivator, and it was like, I don't know if a keynote should be going like deep into the weeds on like technical. Here's how I reverse engineered this malware. That's not my cup of tea, anyways. But so hopefully, I came away with 10 pieces of advice. I don't even know if insights I was calling them.
Well, and
that I had found value over the course of my career. So.
Well, and I thought it was good too. To me, like my frustration at this point is senior leadership not doing some of the basic things that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And security teams being the department of no, or not trusting their people, or just like some of your 10 list, your list of 10 things that really just are just good things for people to do. And at this point in my career, I'm just sitting there going, yes, thank you. Like I loved your book slide at the end too, because I'm an avid reader as well.
I added that last night. That was a yesterday ad.
I'm disappointed that I missed this. I got here just after it too.
Now we need to ask him to do it at another conference.
We'll just have you redo it, Joe.
I'll sit there and do it again.
Just do it again today.
Just do it again.
I'm going to start right now. Yeah, I put like 10 of the books that are just on the bookshelf right behind where I work every day, and I'm like, these are the books that I've read, and as I came up with my list, I was like, none of this is original Joey content. I've squeezed it out of these books, squeezed it out of relationships and conversations like this, and applied. A lot of things didn't make the list because they didn't work or it just wasn't real enough. I had to carve down probably a list of 20 to 25, trying to get it down to 10, so... Yeah, thank you. I thought it went well, and hopefully there's some value there.
And I think that's the best piece in talking about what's the worth of the keynote, because you and JC both brought that up of what's the intention. It's supposed to give you something more to think about and take away. And when you have a list of books, all right, I got some homework. I unfortunately have the background of being an adjunct professor for a little while too, so I tend to, even in my team at work, assign homework accidentally. It's like, oh, you need to read this book, you need to watch this movie, you need to read this white paper.
Right.
And they're just like, I'm not in school anymore. Can you not? And I'm like, well, you don't have to. It's certainly not required by your day-to-day job that you constantly improve yourself.
But don't you want to?
Do you want to stay in this?
If you want to advance,
well, especially in this space.
If you don't want to advance, don't even give me. I have plenty of people on my team. They're very happy with the roles that they're in. But if you're not intentionally getting better, the nature of the universe, here I go deep again, is to give entropy, is to devolve into chaos. If you're not putting effort into something, you are losing ground. You are getting worse. You are decaying in orbit, whatever phrase you want to use. So even if you want to keep your position or stay the same, you better be putting some effort in.
That's fair.
Tread water. And so when the keynote gives you, this was great, I'm inspired, and it gives you that little bit of energy from the outside, and then you can use it to keep moving this way. Then you get a little bit more, and you keep moving up. I talk with my hands a lot. Sorry, podcast. Missing out on the great hand gestures.
Yes, he's drawing a very beautiful picture right now.
In front of us. But you have to keep doing that, and you have to keep. I think as you get to that senior leadership position, you either keep getting good at executing on that and helping people do that, or you're decaying in orbit.
Well, and leadership to me, I feel like, and that's the thing, leadership, right?
Yes.
I'm probably going to butcher this, but I think if you want to be a leader, you have to read. And there's some sort of phrasing around like reading. If you're reading, you're leading, right?
Okay.
And if you're not, like you said, you're falling behind, because that's the thing I get frustrated with, because management is just a flip. Once you shouldn't be on hands-on keyboard anymore. You should be focused. You have different priorities. You have more people management, and that's including both below you and above you. Why aren't more people studying that? Like, people don't study, like some of the books that you're talking about are good, just leadership books. And there's not one book. I've heard a lot of people talk about, servant leadership. They read this one book and then they're done. It's like that's like one of, I haven't even read that one yet, but there's like lots of, like, if you know who Peter Drucker is, then you've probably studied management. If you don't know who that is, you're not studying management, and your team is going to suffer because of it.
I'm fortunate that I'm in some Dale Carnegie stuff. It's like
Dale Carnegie's a great one.
This has been around for since the 30s,
and that's the thing.
And it's still
relevant.
It is.
People are still people. AI is built on people that code is built by people. It's all people under the hood. It's all trusting the and trusting yourself to make the right decisions with the right info from the right people.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little too ADD to sit and read, so I had to switch to just doing books on tape.
And that's fine too. That's
I'm in my car a lot.
Good. Yeah.
It is reading, but that I can do, and so that I'm like, okay, I'm in my car for 2 hours. I can kill
knock
this.
out some stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and that's another opportunity.
I had to take road trips just to listen to something because I couldn't some things I can pick up better off a page.
Yep.
Sometimes I have to have a dead tree version. Sometimes my Kindle or my phone works. Sometimes I have to hear it.
Yep.
And it's different all around. And I like if I can get all three, then it's.
All right, what do you guys want to pitch? We probably should wrap up.
I want to pitch. I got nothing to pitch. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to connect with old friends that I haven't seen in years.
Happy to be here at the last second.
Vendors,
and we pitched Guide Points.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had a little bit of a love letter to Guide Points.
Security.com.
You think?
Go to that other website. And then I'll pitch B-Side St. Louis and all other B-Sides in any other place. They are the best series of conferences for people that are interested, that want to meet the connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I hear this ExploreSec, exploring security, I hear is really good too.
Well, it's on the website, and people already listen.
We should look at that.
Yeah. To look into that. I've only watched a couple. I can't remember the website, but I have listened to the podcast.
What's ExploreSec.com? Here, take a marker.
ExploreSec.com. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Marker.
There you go, marker. I will say for Joey, go shop at Schnucks if you're in St. Louis.
Yes.
We appreciate your business.
One of the highest tech grocery stores.
That is, that was awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, it's so cool.
Yes, we're very honored and humbled by all the accolades we've gotten in the world of tech and innovation.
It's cool
and it's fun to be a part of. And you think, well, that's weird. It's a grocery store. How unique can you get with selling?
Got robots stocking shelves.
And, they're not stocking.
All right.
But still, they're alerting people. There's essentially someone walking around. They're going, "There's something missing." That's been my frustration. I go in and I want something specifically. I'm in the mood for it. I walk into the grocery store. It's not there, and I'm going, "What the heck?"
Yeah. Well, that's a big challenge in retail, and we're working to solve it. And
what's the right term? Stockouts? Isn't that
we empty shelf space. You can't sell air.
Can't sell air.
Yeah. We've got a new tech, and I forgot to even mention this. Just when it comes to innovation with our electronic shelf labels, which is our tag. A lot of people can't find. You're in the peanut butter aisle, but you want this specific flavor of peanut butter. Through our loyalty platform, you can have that peanut and you can flash the tag, and we'll literally just start flashing.
Really?
So it's the one flash.
That is awesome.
Freaking sick. Yes. Wow. And so
how many CISOs have you ever heard say freaking sick?
So then the intent too is a lot of times people don't even get that far. A customer will come up to one of our teammates and say, "I'm looking for said peanut butter," and that teammate can flash the tag and go, "It's down aisle 6. By the time you get there, it'll be the flag. It'll be the tag that's flashed."
Oh wow!
And that's all comes from help with the robot, and then wayfinding through. If you're using the app to do your list, it will organize your items in a way that you can just snake up and down the aisles and get in and get out, which people like. And there's just all kinds of cool stuff that we're into, and we hardly scratched the surface today, but it's fun to be part of, and it's interesting.
Cool.
It's grocery, right? When I started, I was like, it's grocery.
How can we
oh
make
my goodness,
grocery
we're involved in all of this cool stuff.
It's really cool.
Well, I love that you're enabling the business too, right? You're aligning with the business and what they want to do, and enabling them from a security standpoint. Because I feel like security teams can be enablers, right?
Because my brain went, can I make them all flash at once?
Right.
And somebody's probably tried that, and you've been like,
he's had a pen test. He probably gets a bunch of free ones too, by the way.
I don't know about that.
Well, any kid in his store, if they find some sort of monitor, and I will tell you, kids nowadays, I used to take pads home to my 5-year-old and be like, here you go, like work tabs. Not with any information on it, but like a new app or like trying to break out of controls. I was like, go, and they're breaking out of the controls. I was like,
5-year-old in kiosk breakouts. It's a threat. Was the Microsoft kid that broke the Xbox?
Yeah, he just hit the space bar like 10 times and he got in.
That story was awesome.
And
I forgot about that.
Kids are awesome hackers.
All right, we got to get Kevin his seat back. So,
well, good talk.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
It was a great time.
Cool. Next time.
That's awesome.
And that will do it. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, email me at timothy.dblock@exploresec.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let me know what you didn't learn, and we'll cover it in a future podcast. We'll see you next time, cybersecurity explorers.